What if I told you that the story of David and Goliath isn't just a tale of bravery but a gateway to one of the Bible's most mysterious and debated topics? Yes, the Nephilim, those enigmatic giants mentioned in Genesis, might hold the key to understanding Goliath's true origins. Yet, so many have brushed off this connection as mere myth. But what if there's more to the story than meets the eye? Prepare to uncover truths that challenge everything you thought you knew about biblical history. Think about it, Goliath wasn't just an oversized warrior, he was a walking enigma, a relic of an ancient time when giants roamed the earth. And here's the twist, he wasn't alone. His brothers, equally fearsome, carried a legacy that echoes through the ages. Could they really be linked to the Nephilim? Or were they simply men with extraordinary genetics? These are the questions that demand answers, and the truth might be far more fascinating and unsettling than you've ever imagined. But why does this matter today? Because the story of Goliath and his brothers isn't just about the past, it's about understanding the giants we face in our own lives. These biblical accounts hold lessons that can transform how you see challenges, faith, and victory. So, buckle up, because by the end of this journey, you'll not only know the truth about the Nephilim and Goliath but also how their stories resonate in your own life. Ready to dive in? Let's begin. Goliath was no ordinary man, he was a towering figure, standing over 9 feet tall, a true colossus of his time. Imagine someone so large that their very presence made seasoned warriors tremble. His armor alone weighed over 125 pounds, about the size of a full-grown human. Wrapped in bronze from head to toe, Goliath resembled an impenetrable fortress, a champion among the Philistines who struck fear into the hearts of Israel's army. But here's the catch, no matter how strong the fortress, there's always a weak spot waiting to be discovered. Now, let's talk about that spear. Picture a weapon so massive it was likened to a weaver's beam, with a spearhead that weighed 15 pounds. That's heavier than most bowling balls people struggle to lift. Goliath wasn't just intimidating in stature, every aspect of his gear screamed dominance. For his enemies, facing him must have felt like standing before an unstoppable force of nature. But as history often teaches us, even the most daunting forces can be overcome by strategy and faith. His confidence was palpable, almost arrogant, as he taunted the Israelites daily for 40 days. Goliath didn't just rely on his size, he used psychological warfare to break the spirit of his enemies before they even dared to step forward. And, for a time, it worked, no one dared to face him. Isn't it interesting how fear, when left unchecked, grows into something larger than life? It's a reminder that giants aren't just physical, sometimes, they exist in our minds. The Philistines must have felt invincible with Goliath leading their charge. To them, he was their insurance of victory, their trump card in the game of war. And why not? With his stature and unmatched strength, who could possibly stand against him? This wasn't just a battle of armies, it was a battle of beliefs, where might seemed to outweigh faith. Yet, this assumption would soon face an unexpected twist. But here's a thought to chew on, Goliath's armor was a double-edged sword. While it made him appear invincible, it also weighed him down, making him less agile. Sometimes, what we believe to be our greatest strength can also become a vulnerability. This lesson echoes in our daily lives. When we rely too much on appearances or material strength, we may overlook the cracks that can bring us down. And as Goliath stood on the battlefield, radiating dominance, a young shepherd named David was preparing to step forward. David's confidence didn't come from weapons or armor, it came from something far greater, faith. It's here where the story shifts, leaving us wondering, could faith alone really topple such a giant? Let's find out. David wasn't a warrior, nor did he have the physical prowess to intimidate anyone, let alone Goliath. He was a shepherd, a simple young man whose days were spent protecting sheep and playing the harp. Yet, his faith was anything but ordinary. When David heard Goliath's taunts, he didn't see a giant, he saw an opportunity to prove God's power. It's fascinating, isn't it? Where others saw an impossible challenge, David saw a chance for victory. And that's often the difference between fear and faith, perspective. What gave David such unshakable confidence? It wasn't experience, he had never fought in a battle before. Instead, it was his relationship with God, cultivated in solitude. David had already faced lions and bears while protecting his flock. Each victory reminded him of God's faithfulness. Think about this. When was the last time you reflected on past victories to fuel your courage for today's challenges? David's story shows us the power of recalling how far we've come to face what lies ahead. Rejecting the king's armor, David chose simplicity, a sling, 5 smooth stones, and unwavering faith. Imagine the scene, a young boy, with nothing but a shepherd's tool, stepping forward to face a fully armored giant. It's almost absurd, right? Yet, it's a profound reminder that sometimes, less is more. We often believe we need more preparation or resources to tackle our giants, but David teaches us that faith and focus can outweigh any physical tool. David's confidence was not arrogance, it was trust. He declared boldly, "The battle is the Lord's." It's a statement that echoes through time, reminding us that when we place our trust in something greater than ourselves, fear loses its grip. This kind of faith isn't blind, it's built on experience and a deep sense of purpose. David's courage wasn't just for himself, it was a statement to everyone watching that God's power is unmatched. Interestingly, David's actions inspire a timeless question: what are the slings and stones in our lives? Perhaps it's a skill we've overlooked, a talent we've dismissed, or even the small but consistent actions that build toward victory. The beauty of this story lies in its relatability. We all face giants, though they might not stand 9 feet tall. David's approach invites us to identify our strengths and use them with confidence, no matter how unconventional they seem. And as David stood before Goliath, the tension in the air must have been palpable. All eyes were on him, the boy who dared to do what no seasoned warrior would. But what happened next would not only redefine the battlefield but also leave an indelible mark on history. Let's move forward to witness the clash that changed everything. The battlefield grew silent as David stepped forward, his sling in hand, while Goliath towered above him, brimming with arrogance. It was a scene no one could have predicted, a mere shepherd boy standing against the mightiest warrior of the Philistines. As Goliath mocked him, David's response was unshaken. "I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty," he declared. That single statement flipped the entire narrative. This wasn't a fight between a boy and a giant, it was a moment to reveal divine power in action. With a swift motion, David slung a stone that struck Goliath's forehead, sinking deep and bringing the giant crashing to the ground. Imagine the shock that rippled through the crowd. In an instant, the unbeatable champion was defeated, not by strength or advanced weaponry but by faith, precision, and the belief that God fights alongside those who trust him. The lesson here is profound: the size of the obstacle doesn't matter when faith directs your actions. David's next move was both symbolic and decisive. He used Goliath's own sword to cut off his head. This wasn't just a victory, it was a statement. The very weapon meant to intimidate Israel became a tool of triumph. It's a vivid reminder that what was intended to harm you can often become the very thing that propels you forward. Reflect on this for a moment. What in your life seems like a threat but might actually be an opportunity in disguise? The Philistines, once confident and arrogant, fled in terror as their champion fell. Their defeat wasn't just physical, it was psychological. When David stepped out in faith, he didn't just overcome a giant, he inspired an entire nation to believe again. It's the ripple effect of courage. One bold act can ignite faith in countless others. Think about it. What if your next step of faith could inspire someone else to take their own? This moment, though climactic, wasn't the end. It marked the beginning of a legacy that would continue to unfold. David's triumph wasn't just about defeating Goliath, it was a glimpse of what faith-driven leadership looks like. He didn't just win a battle, he planted seeds of hope that would grow into a kingdom. This teaches us that our victories often have greater implications than we realize. And yet, as we marvel at David's victory, a question lingers: who was this Goliath, really? Was he merely a large man, or was there something more mysterious about his origins? The answers lie in an age-old debate that reaches back to the time of Genesis. Let's delve into the mystery of Goliath's lineage and the Nephilim. Goliath's imposing stature has sparked centuries of debate among scholars and theologians. Was he simply a man with gigantism, or did his origins tie him to the mysterious Nephilim mentioned in Genesis? The Nephilim, described as the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men, were said to be giants, renowned for their strength and power. Could Goliath have been one of their descendants, a living echo of these ancient beings? It's a question that challenges our understanding of biblical history and mythology. Some argue that Goliath's size could be explained by medical conditions like acromegaly, a disorder that causes abnormal growth due to excessive hormone production. While this theory provides a biological explanation, it doesn't account for the spiritual and cultural significance attached to his character. After all, Goliath wasn't just a giant, he was a symbol of defiance against God. It's fascinating how science and faith often intersect, yet sometimes diverge, in their attempts to explain the extraordinary. The biblical reference to the Nephilim has fueled endless curiosity. Were they real giants, or is their story allegorical, meant to illustrate the corruption of humanity before the flood? If Goliath was a Nephilim or connected to their lineage, it would explain his immense size and strength, as well as the fear he instilled in others. But more importantly, it ties his story to a broader theme of divine justice, where even the mightiest are brought low when they oppose God. There's also the cultural context to consider. Many ancient civilizations, from the Greeks to the Mesopotamians, had myths of giants, beings who walked the earth as embodiments of power and chaos. Could Goliath's story be a reflection of these larger-than-life archetypes? Or perhaps it's a deliberate reminder that no matter how colossal the opposition, faith and righteousness will always prevail. It's an intriguing parallel that connects Goliath to legends far beyond his own time. For those exploring this debate, the question isn't just, who was Goliath, but what does he represent? To some, he is a literal giant, a remnant of a mysterious and ancient race. To others, he is a metaphor for the struggles we face, those overwhelming challenges that seem insurmountable until we confront them with courage and faith. Either way, his story resonates deeply, offering layers of meaning for those willing to dig deeper. And while Goliath's story ends in defeat, his legacy continues through the tales of his family. Goliath wasn't the only giant to challenge David's faith, he had brothers who would also meet their fate. But what does this recurring clash between David's faith and these mighty warriors teach us? Let's uncover the legacy of Goliath's brothers. Goliath's defeat was just the beginning of a larger narrative. His brothers, mighty warriors in their own right, also posed significant threats to Israel. Yet, like Goliath, they fell, not by sheer force, but through the unwavering faith of David's men. These battles weren't just about physical strength, they symbolized the recurring triumph of divine intervention over human arrogance. Each victory echoed the same message: when God leads the charge, even the mightiest adversaries crumble. One of Goliath's brothers, Ishbi-Benob, is said to have wielded a spear as heavy as 300 shekels of bronze, a weight that would intimidate any ordinary soldier. But it was Abishai, one of David's loyal men, who stepped in to defeat him. This wasn't just a personal triumph, it was a testament to the strength of unity and shared faith. Sometimes, the battles we face aren't meant to be fought alone. Surrounding yourself with the right people can turn the tide, much like David's warriors did for him. Another of these giants, Saph, met his end in battle, along with an unnamed warrior described as having 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot, a detail that adds an almost mythical layer to their lineage. These physical anomalies have intrigued scholars and theologians alike. Were these features signs of their connection to the Nephilim, or simply genetic curiosities? Either way, they served to amplify the fear these giants instilled. Yet, even the most intimidating figures couldn't withstand the resolve of those fighting with purpose and faith. What makes this legacy remarkable is how it highlights the ripple effect of courage. David's faith in facing Goliath wasn't an isolated act, it inspired his men to face their own giants. This ripple is a powerful reminder that one act of bravery can set off a chain reaction, empowering others to rise to their challenges. Have you ever considered how your own courage might inspire those around you? It's a humbling thought, isn't it? These victories weren't just physical battles, they were spiritual declarations. Each giant that fell reinforced the idea that faith isn't just a personal attribute, it's a force that can shape the destiny of entire nations. Through these stories, we're reminded that the giants we face today, whether external challenges or internal struggles, can be overcome when we hold steadfast to our beliefs and work together. And so, the tales of Goliath and his brothers come full circle, leaving us with timeless lessons about faith, courage, and the power of community. But this is just the surface of a deeper exploration. What if the giants in these stories are metaphors for something far greater? Let's step back and consider the broader implications of these biblical accounts. So, now that you've uncovered the fascinating truths about Goliath, his brothers, and their possible connection to the Nephilim, what will you do with this knowledge? These stories are more than ancient accounts, they're a blueprint for overcoming the giants in your own life. What challenges are you facing right now that seem insurmountable? And more importantly, what tools, faith, courage, or even the help of others, are you overlooking in your battle? Take a moment to reflect. What if you approached your struggles with the same confidence as David? What if you saw your obstacles not as threats but as opportunities to demonstrate faith and grow stronger? The truth is, every giant you face carries the potential for a greater victory. So, what step can you take today to conquer your own Goliath? Start small, maybe it's a prayer, a conversation, or simply trusting that you're not alone in the fight. If you're eager to deepen your understanding and apply these lessons to your spiritual journey, I've got something special for you. The Christian Journey, Exploring the Bible in 27 Steps ebook was designed with you in mind. It's packed with insights, practical techniques, and tools to help you navigate your path with clarity and purpose. I've left the link in the comments, feel free to explore it if you're ready to take the next step. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the fascinating world of biblical giants and timeless lessons. If you found this valuable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an opportunity to learn more about the Bible's incredible stories. Together, we can continue exploring the depths of Scripture and growing in faith. Until next time, stay curious, stay faithful, and remember, you're never alone in your battles.